So we left off last week with a great devotee of the Lord who was very eager to meet Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Who was that devotee? Anybody remember the name of the devotee?
Ramana, right?
Yes, let me turn. Yes, I can hear. Someone said something online. I think Venu Madhuri, you said something?
Is it Ramana, right?
Ramanand Rai is one, but the one particular one we're looking for who's been eager for like entire chapters.
Prataprudra?
That's right, King Prataprudra. Yes, yes. King Prataprudra was, so that was a cliffhanger from last time. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So to invoke the mercy of the Lord, we will, thank you so much. We will sing this special prayer. Because Prataprudra is pining and dying to see the Lord. And unfortunately, in our conditioned state, we're not pining and dying to serve the Lord. But we can be inspired by Prataprudra. So we will sing together. Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya 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 Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya 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 Gaitra Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhatta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Jaya Shri Caitanya Jaya Gaitra Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhatta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, take that Krishna, Krishna. Volume, volume, big red knob, put it up. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Goprande, Shishi Gaur Nitai ki. So we're here at the lotus feet of Shishi Gaur Nitai, this beautiful temple called New Navadvip Dham. This temple is very special because we have arguably the most beautiful, actually there's no argument there, the most beautiful Shishi Gaur Nitai in the entire world, universe. And we get to serve them. And those who know in the whole world, they know to come running to this wacky place known as Tawacco, Tawacco, New Jersey. This is where you see the Lord. So the eagerness that Maharaj Prataprudra had, you can see. So imagine this Jagannath Puri. This is the eve of Rath Yatra. You can imagine, like here when we have Rath Yatra in New York City.
Oh, yeah.
But the day before, what do? Mahaharinam, isn't it? So you can imagine the Mahaharinam happening in Jagannath Puri when Mahaprabhu is personally there. The air itself is trembling with the beat of mridangas. And the cry of conch shells. Today we'll hear the conch shell before Prabhupada's Arati. Bajayenge na, shank bajayenge. And a single longing that pierces through that sound. One person's longing is more than anybody else's. He's standing right there in the balcony. And feeling really sad, even though everybody is having such a good time. Maharaj Pratap Rudra. His name, Pratap Rudra. So much majesty just in that name, Pratap and Rudra. Master of armies, the king of Odisha. He desires not victory. He desires not wealth, but one priceless treasure. Darshan of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And he sends letters. He sends letters through Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who is good friend with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He sends letters through Ramananda Rai, who is very close to the Lord. And the Lord refuses. He says what? I am a sannyasi. The smallest stain is seen on a pure white cloth. I cannot have it on my record that I'm hanging out with materialistic people like royalty, kings, whose only business is, making money, getting influence. I have no interest in that. Having even a meeting with the king would break my vow of renunciation. Then Nityananda Prabhu, he knows the heart of Pratap Rudra. And so with the compassion shining like thousands of suns, Nityananda Prabhu, he hatches a plan, merciful plan. If the Lord will not meet the king, then let the king touch the Lord's kindness. So he takes, Mahaprabhu, after he's worn his cloth, he takes the outer cloth, Nityananda Prabhu takes it, and he sends it to the king. The cloth. And when Pratap Rudra receives that cloth, he bows as the Lord himself had arrived, and he soaks the cloth with his tears. There's something very beautiful about this scene. You know how a mother, when she remembers a child, and the child may be grown up, but she remembers all these small shoes and she holds them. The memories, the shoes are there, the child's already bigger feet, but it's so sweet. We can imagine when pure devotee like Pratap Rudra receives the cloth worn by the Lord, how he must feel. The Lord wore this cloth. So then what happens? What's born in his heart? Hope. Asha. Hope that yes, the mercy is shining through. Then opens another door. Then Mahaprabhu, he says, okay, fine. I cannot meet the king, but bring the prince, the son of the king. I'll meet the little boy, young boy, maybe teenager. So the boy comes very eagerly. He's darkish. He looks a little bit like, his dark skin, very handsome, like a monsoon cloud. His eyes are like lotus petals. Very beautiful boy. And he's wearing yellow silken garments. So he looks like Krishna. And because the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees the boy, and he gazes at him and says, Krishna? So he rushes forward and embraces the prince. How sweet. And both the prince and the Lord are weeping, and both are saying, Krishna, Krishna. The prince realizes he's embracing Krishna himself. And Lord Mahaprabhu, he is thinking this is Krishna. Anything that resembles Krishna, even a little bit, he thinks that's Krishna. See a dark tree, he'll embrace it. So the prince then, of course, he got a touch of the Lord, so he begins dancing in ecstasy. Krishna, Krishna. And he's chanting, Krishna, Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna.
Krishna, Krishna.
And then when the child returns to his father, Maharaj Pratap Rudra, the king embraces him and feels the Lord's touch on his own chest. You can imagine. And the seed of mercy is now taken root. Of course, Kirtan was going on. But what else needs to happen before Rath Yatra happens? A very important thing needs to happen, a big project. Yes. Snan Yatra happened already a few days before, but this is just Gundicha Marjanam. That's right. Very important. So next morning, just before Rath Yatra happens, Mahaprabhu gathers thousands of devotees, thousands, to cleanse the Gundicha temple. Now, this is the summer home of Lord Jagannath. You know how kings have a summer home and winter, this is his summer home. So he places brooms in everyone's hand, even his own hand. This is not an ordinary cleaning. This is called a yajna of devotion. When we clean the temple of the Lord, there's now some cleansing took place here also. Right? That's important. The Lord sweeps faster than everybody else. He gathers heaps of dust and straw and leaves, and then he praises those who serve attentively. When people clean with attention to detail, very good, very good. See, then he teaches a simple truth. You cannot invite Jagannath to sit on a place where the floor is dusty. Nor can you invite Krishna to sit in a heart where the floor of the heart is dusty. So the devotees clean again and again, deeper and deeper, deep cleaning, and washing every corner, not with water, with tears and kirtan, every corner. And when they are finished, the temple is glowing like a gem, as pure as the Lord's own heart. So that day he teaches by example. To prepare for Rath Yatra, one must first cleanse the inner temple of our heart. Evening falls, shining, chaka-chak, and the weather is absolutely perfect. So what do? They go, there's many flowering trees, there's trees with incredibly fragrant flowers, and they go sit under those trees and they have picnic. How beautiful that scene must be. They're having Mahaprasadam, picnic under the flowering trees after having cleaned temple. You can just picture the scene, and the birds are singing. And laughter you can hear from a distance, mingles with kirtan, spontaneously bursts out. You can imagine the atmosphere. And then there's teasing going on. Advaita Acharya is teasing Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu fires back with his own taunts. All the saints are there, they're laughing. And their love, it gets deeper and riper in this interchange. Imagine that scene, building up to Rath Yatra. Incredible. And then Mahaprabhu himself distributes prasadam with his own hands to the devotees. This is what Krishna consciousness is about. Getting together, cleansing the temple of the Lord, doing kirtan, preparing prasadam, offering to the Lord freely with love, and then offering to the devotees. This is what Krishna conscious Sangha is about. Then the Lord, he adorns the devotees with garlands. He prepares garlands, and can you imagine Caitanya Mahaprabhu come and giving you garland like this, everybody, fragrant flowers. And then he puts sandalwood paste on there, himself with his hands. How fortunate all these devotees must be. The most beautiful moon-like Lord, Chaitanya Chandra. So tonight, when we sing Kiva Jaya Jaya Gora Chander, think of this scene. Gora Chand, the beautiful golden light moon, Gora Chander, Arati Kashola. This garden feels like Vrindavan. Then dawn breaks on Rath Yatra. Conch shells are crying again, you can imagine. All the conches, so many conches blowing to announce the Rath Yatra has started, the Rath is moving. Right? It's about to move actually. The people are moving, getting ready. Jagannath deity comes out. You know how he comes out? A little bit at a time, because this Daita priest, the priests themselves are strong like elephants, but you need so many of them to move the Lord. And the Lord dances, he doesn't walk straight. Jagannath, he dances like this. And the drums are thundering. And the crowds are roaring. Manima, Manima. Manima is the program of the Lord ascending to the chariot. It's called Manima. So the Lord cannot miss it. He said, everybody run, let's go see Mahima. And in that sacred chaos, the king of Odisha, Maharaj Pt.4 himself, he comes, he puts aside his crown, leaves aside. He doesn't wear crown in front of the Lord. The king doesn't wear crown in front of the Lord. Because in front of the Lord, everybody's servant. And he takes, what does he take? Jadu, broom, naturally. Here also, our mayor comes and takes the jadu. He's the king of Parsippany. He's sweeping for the real king of Parsippany, Jagannath. It's very beautiful. And it's so nice that these, they come and recognize and acknowledge and they sweep the,
Now the mayors have understood. They come and where is the
where's the broom? He knows, yeah, he said, where's the broom? Give me the broom first. I don't want to talk to anybody before I have the broom in my hand. He's like that, he's very cool.
People mayor pass,
Yeah.
they understood.
They know.
They come.
It's really nice. And so he starts sweeping the Lord, and not just ceremonial sweeping, like really, like, getting into it, make sure, everything is out. And as he's sweeping, he cannot see clearly because, why? Because his eyes are just streaming tears of ecstasy and gratitude that he's able to serve Lord Jagannath in this way. This is the real glory of King Pt.4. The sweeping, not his crown or his political power. Now, somebody is looking from the corner of his eye to the king and is making a mental note. Who is that? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself sees, oh, okay. And Mahaprabhu's heart starts melting. Yes, no, he's a serious devotee. He's not just a king. He doesn't care for his kingliness. And that Lord who refused completely to meet him, and seeing the humility of the king, he silently accepts him in his heart. He's a good guy. This is the way we can also try to approach, please the Lord. Prabhupada always says, don't try to see Krishna. Act in such a way that Krishna wants to see you. This is good. Let me go find out this. Let me put more of myself in his life. So if we act, we know what to do. It's not that we don't know what to do. We know we should serve nicely. We know we should treat each other nicely. We know we should be fair. We know we should be loving, caring, generous. We know all these things. Ethical. If we do them caringly, lovingly, selflessly, then the Lord sees us through the corner of his eyes. Karunya Kataksh. If you get the Karunya Kataksh of the Lord, then it's called Vishwam Purna Sukhayate. The whole Vishwa becomes Sukhmaya. Sukhayate. Otherwise, this world is what? Dukhalayam Ashashvatam. Exactly. But when you get Karunya Kataksh, the Prabhu knows, he's been hearing my lectures long enough. Then Vishwam Purna Sukhayate.
First time hearing the Vedic word. First time.
Yes. Yes. But that only happens when you get that sidelong glance of the Lord, Karunya Kataksh. Then these three big chariots that rise like mountains, golden mountains among the crowd. And Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra is set forth surrounded by gardens, the whisper of Vrindavan. Then Mahaprabhu, he divides his whole team into 7 parties, Kirtan parties. 7 of them. Sarup Damodar sings. Vakreshwar Pandit, he's known for his dancing. He dances like the lightning, really fast and so much joy. And Haridas Thakur chants with love, unbroken names, unbroken. He's known for his being Namacharya. Yes, that's right. And in each party there are 2 mridangas. So how many mridangas total? 14. 14 mridangas roar and thunder. And even though it's not rainy season, but the roads get muddy and flooded because of tears, torrents of tears from everyone's eyes. You can see. Now, even though there's 7 groups, Mahaprabhu is dancing in all of them at the same time. He's with all seven all at once. Just like when the gopis are dancing in Rasa dance, each gopi felt Krishna is dancing with me only. When the queens of Krishna, in their 16,000 individual palaces, each queen felt Krishna is with me only because Krishna was each one. He can do it. He can manifest himself 16,000. Why 16,000? 16 billion. He can do these things. And then when the Lord danced, the chariots would move. And then when the Lord would stop to gaze at Jagannath, chariot would stop. Even though devotees are pulling, chariot will not move. This is the play between Jagannath and Lord Chaitanya. Even Jagannath would stop his chariot to watch the golden Lord express his love. Now the dance becomes a storm. In Mahaprabhu's arms, they rise like banners of surrender. And he shows us this is how you surrender. And his arms are very long. You know, he's like 7 feet tall. His arms would reach down to his knees. And when you raise them, you can imagine how beautiful he would look. If you've been to Mayapur and you see the gigantic form of the Panchatattva, have you seen?
Yeah.
This painting we have. But in Mayapur, they're so big and tall, that's life size. That's the actual size. Yes. Yeah, so you can imagine how beautiful. And his body is glowing like molten gold. You know, like gold will not glow in the dark. But if it's molten, you turn off the light, it glows. That's how hot. So his body is glowing like molten gold and spinning and rising when he jumps so high up. He comes down crashing and thunder when he hits the ground. And Advaita Acharya calls out, Hari Bol! Hari Bol! And Nityananda Prabhu says, Hari Bol! And the devotees form circles around him, guarding the blazing jewel of love, watching from afar. Who is watching? King Pt.4. His heart breaks with devotion. I can't come close to the Lord. I'm not allowed near him. And the Lord whom he longed to see, he just sees him radiant. He's so close and yet so far. Suddenly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's expression turns inward. And he repeats the verse of Srimati Radharani crying in Kurukshetra. You know Kurukshetra? What happened in Kurukshetra? The original pastime of this Rath Yatra. Of course, the battle was also there. Some of our devotees graduated from Kurukshetra University also. Yes. But besides those, the actual pastime of the gopis pulling Krishna back, that happened in Kurukshetra. And so Mahaprabhu sings. He sings, my Lord, you are, these are the same moonlit nights. This is a romantic song Radharani sang. The same moonlit nights, the same fragrant breezes. You are that same Krishna, but my heart longs for Vrindavan. Radharani is in Kurukshetra. Krishna is right there. The moon is there, but my heart is longing for Vrindavan. Why? Because Vrindavan means intimacy. It means Krishna in his full element. In Kurukshetra, he's not fully there. So I want to pull you to Vrindavan. Come to Vrindavan. I want to make my heart Vrindavan, and I want to pull you into my heart. So when we pull the ropes of Rath Yatra, next time, let's get in the mood of pulling the Lord into our hearts. That's the whole mood that Mahaprabhu is saying. He's singing that come back to the forest of my soul. Don't offer me knowledge or renunciation, only yourselves, my Lord. And this is part of the song. It's very beautiful. And in this prayer, Dwarka meets Vrindavan, and love pulls the Lord home. Now, as the kirtan reaches the crescendo, Mahaprabhu is jumping so high and then he falls down and passes out right in front of King Pt.4. Can you imagine? And the king runs forward to receive him, lift him with reverence. And the Lord says, what's going on? No, you should not be touching me. But in his heart, he knows the king's broom has created his destiny, that he'll get to serve the Lord. Then the chariot stops near a place called Balagandi. And what happens? This is when they start making offerings. You know how we pause the chariot, make offerings? So offerings, there come so many offerings, they fill the thousands of plates and songs and flowers. And Mahaprabhu takes a break. And he walks away from he withdraws from the devotees. Walks into a quiet garden and lies under a tree and gets enjoying the cooling breeze. You can imagine his golden skin glistening with beads of perspiration. The kirtan you can still hear in the distance, but he's now, it's echoing. And the king, he's waiting in the garden, trembling with love. That's the end of the chapter. In the coming chapter, the Lord of mercy will finally embrace his humble servant, King Pt.4. So for years, the king, he hovered at the edge of mercy. He swept the road before Jagannath and shed his royal fine garments. He served the devotees and he took repeated refusals without resentment. He was never resented. Why the Lord refusing? What kind of Lord is this? He never resented that. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept that boundary on purpose to teach his followers detachment from power. That even though one may be a sannyasi or one may be a spiritual leader, whatever, any kind of thing like that comes with some power inherently. Be detached from that. Be detached from political power. Be detached because the king represents political power. This is what he was saying. But then he saw the humility of the king unfold. And he was ripening under the guidance of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and Ramananda Rai. So then Prataparudra came as a servant and he started massaging the feet of the Lord slowly. And then he started singing. Jai Shri Gauranga Ki. And what did he sing? Tava Caithamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavi Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadattatam Bhuri Grinanti Bhurida Jana. This is from which song? Gopi Gita Shabbat. And when he said the magic words, Bhurida Jana, your glory is Tava Caithamritam. It's so glorious, but even more glorious is a person who shares and spreads it, Bhurida, who's very magnanimous, who gives it to others. And Mahaprabhu was so melted. Yes, the preacher, the one who shares the glory throughout the world. And he embraced him. And he recalled those lovely verses. He called them priceless jewels. And he embraced the singer of those verses. And in that embrace, the king disappeared and a servant remained. And he was accepted by the embrace of the Lord. That mercy was not random. Of course, it's causeless. We know this causeless mercy, but it was not random. It still requires certain qualifications. The Lord will not just give it, it requires some qualifications. This mercy rested on 3 pillars. 1, seva over status. Seva, not just status. Sweeping is what is seva. Feeding the devotees. Giving up his royal title and dress. And his swagger. His service washed away these upadhis, these external designations. 1. Second, recommendations. Vaishnava recommendations. He came highly recommended. You know how, when they're like recruiters, hiring managers, but if somebody recommends from their own company, they'll give preference. Why? Recommendations carry a lot of weight. The Lord's heart softened when Ramananda Rai would recommend. He sang praises. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya very carefully and caringly said, no, this is a good one.
He's one of the good ones. So loving the Lord's devotees and servants draws the attention of the Lord. That's the difference, by the way, between Kanishta and Madhyam Adhikari. Kanishta doesn't know how to interact nicely with devotees. And so it blocks this avenue of recommendations. But Madhyama treats everyone very beautifully, very nicely, very lovingly, very generously. You know what generous? What does that mean, generously? Generously means that if someone does something to me that appears maybe possibly negative, but I'm generous. No, he must have meant it in the best possible way. It's called generous. We're generous in assuming their intentions. So if we are generous in working with devotees, it reduces so many possibilities of misunderstanding. We're generous. See? So this is how we get recommendations. Be loving, caring, and generous. And then third one is the right approach. No pompousness, no petitions, no sense of entitlement. I deserve this attention, no? See, so what are the three things? Seva, our status. Second one, recommendation. And the third one is right approach, in the sense that not this external pompousness or sense of entitlement. The approach is humility. Okay? So after that embrace of the Lord briefly revealed his opulence to the king and bound him to silence. You know, the king said, this is Krishna himself. And then soon after, the king witnessed that just a touch of the Lord's head, that stuck chariot started moving. And he saw it, oh. See, the chariot stopped moving, then people tried, so many people tried, but only when Mahaprabhu then just, he said, move out, I'll do it. He just touched it with his head. He just moved. It's not easy, the thing is like a building. Yeah. So then he got confirmation that he got the full mercy of the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Maharaj Pratap ki jai. It's a beautiful lesson in the Madhya Lila. So moving on. After this jubilant, let's see, Rath Yatra festival, then Advaita Acharya, he worshipped the Lord with flowers and tulsi. You know what the Lord does? He takes those remnants and offers it back to Advaita, saying, you know, you are the one, whatever you are, but I bow to you. So the Lord likes to tease Advaita Acharya because he's senior, right? So he teases him like that. And he is trying to show in this level exchange of bhakti that there is no higher or lower when the Lord becomes intimate with you. You see? It's only the mutual joy of glorifying each other and giving. So then soon after came this celebration called Nandotsava. Nandotsava is the day after Janmashtami, right? And Mahaprabhu and his, you can see that, yes. So this is the celebration that they did. They dressed up as cowherd boys. They're carrying parts of yogurt, and they're carrying parts of milk, and they're splashing, and they're laughing. Even they're whirling rods and acrobatic feats. You can see he's whirling a rod over there. Because Gopas do that. See, being a cowherd, you know how much education and qualification you need to be a cowherd? Zero. You know, back then, it's like the person who's least competent to do anything, he's given the job of cowherd. Those who cannot do anything, they do cowherd work. You cannot be an accountant, you can't be a lawyer, you can't be a priest, you can't be a construction, architect, nothing. Cow just sit there, play, nothing to do. The cows, you're not going to feed the cows, they're just grazing themselves. It is the most fun being a cowherd boy. Because all you do is play. Why would the Lord have a life where you do work? Just play. See, if you have all the money in the world, why would you work? It's silly. I was wondering, there's Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos. I mean, why are they working so hard? Yeah, it's ridiculous. Unfathomable amount of wealth. Couple of billion, take it, give the rest of it away, have party. How many? They have hardly time to party also, you know. What is? But this the Lord knows what's going on. So he's just playing and like the Gopas and Davan. Then another festival, Vijayadashmi, is coming up. So we have prepared some. Vijayadashmi also, they transformed again. This time they dressed up as what? Lord Ram's army. You see, they dressed up as Lord Ram's army, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, sometimes he gets in the mood of Hanuman. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gets in the mood of Hanuman and he roars and jumps from one branch. You can imagine, he's jumping from one branch of the tree to the other. Amazing. He said, where's that rascal Ravan who's stolen Sita? I'm going to tear him apart. Can you imagine his mood? Imagine you're one of those devotees witnessing that Mahaprabhu doing this. No. And the devotees would tremble in awe. The Lord reliving all with full bhakti these pastimes. But of course, all festivals must end. So with great humility, Mahaprabhu sent his devotees back to Bengal because they're in Jagannath Puri, right? Okay, now festivals finished. Now you go to Bengal, you have to do preaching work also. He embraced each one. He gave them special instructions. Like Nityananda, he said, you are empowered to spread Krishna consciousness without restriction. Go anywhere, everywhere, spread it. Shivas Thakur, you maintain daily kirtan. You know, he's Shiva Shankan, famous for kirtan. Daily kirtan, that's you have to do. And I guarantee it, you maintain daily kirtan every night, I'll be there in your kirtan. I'll be invisible, but you'll feel my presence there. And to his mother, he sent lots of Jagannath Prasadam and the cloth of Lord Jagannath. And he revealed a secret, a tender secret to the devotees. He said that even though I've renounced home as a sannyasi, but invisibly I come to my mother's house every day, and when she makes offering, I eat it. And that's consoled her grieving heart. So very sweet pastimes, reenactments. It's all we can read in detail in Madhya Lila. Yeah? At last, Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya. Where does he live? Which town? Which city? Jagannath Puri. Right. He humbly invited the Lord for prasadam. And together his wife's name is Shathir Mata. His daughter's name is Shathir, so he would call her Shathir Mata, mother of Shathi. That's part of the culture. So they prepared a feast beyond imagination. Mountains of rice glistening with ghee, and dozens of sabjis, dozens. And roots and leafy greens and sweets and chutney. And by the way, there's like many verses dedicated to this, and just the list and detail, is so beautifully described, including recipe. Like almost like you can tell the recipe because it tells what's in the masala they put, and so nice. And chutneys and fruits and curd. And on top of that, all the Jagannath Mahaprasad that came from the temple, that's in addition to what they cooked. This is again showing us what we do in ISKCON. We just invite each other home and, exchange of love through prasadam. Everything is offered with tulsi and deep devotion. This prasadam is a vehicle to express love. It's not just, to get, just to satisfy the hunger. It's love and mercy. So when the Lord arrived, he was astonished. He said, wow, even 100 cooks cannot prepare all this in 6 hours. Surely Radha Krishna has empowered you and they've eaten here for sure. And then he sat and began to honor with great, you can see, right? So many preps are there. And he began to honor with great delight. Then comes in Sarabham's son-in-law. You know his name? Amog. Amog means spotless. But he wasn't spotless. He comes in, and he's known for his sharp tongue. And he sneered, and he said, this food could feed 10 men. Yet this sannyasi alone eats so much. What kind of sannyasi is this? Is envy. Envy disguised as concern for sannyas. As if he's concerned for his sannyas. He is envious of the popularity of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is envious that everybody loves him so much. Envy reared his ugly head. The whole household erupted. Sarabham Bhattacharya ran behind him with a stick. Thick one. You see that stick he's holding? That's the one. And you see that guy in the distance running? That's it. He chased him off. You see that tiny little guy there? He chased him off. So I'm going to beat you. I'll never want to see you again. Now, normally, son-in-law is not treated like that. So you can imagine how much he had to overcome to run after his son-in-law, Damad, with the stick. And his wife is striking her head. Oh my God, you can see she's striking her head. Shatir Mata is hitting her head like this. Better our daughter becomes a widow. That's heavy. I wish my daughter became a widow than live with such a blasphemer of the Lord. But Mahaprabhu, he just laughed. Laughed. He knew that this envy, this fault finding, he knew they're poisonous. He knew that, of course. But he used this incident as a teachable moment. So calmly he continued honoring the prasadam. You can see he's still taking it, even though both of them are feeling so sad about it. That night, Amoga, he ran away, but by morning he was struck with cholera. Very heavy. Like he's so bad, he was about to die. That's how intense the cholera was. And Sarvabhauma thought, yes, Vidhata, providence has done what I wished to punish this offender. He should die right away. Can you imagine? But when Mahaprabhu heard, he rushed to Amoga's side. He placed his lotus hand, you can see he's placing lotus hand on his chest, on his heart. He said, my dear Amoga, the heart of a Brahmana, you're a Brahmana, is meant to be a seat of Krishna. Why are you letting the dog of envy sit here? You cannot let the dog onto the altar. By now, the mercy of Sarvabhauma has cleansed your heart. You rise now and chant the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram. So Amoga suddenly leapt up from his deathbed. It's no longer his deathbed, now this is a regular bed. And he danced with joy. And he said, Krishna, 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 Krishna. And he trembled and he wept and he just rolling on the ground. By the way, we did this drama many years ago, if you remember. When I say many years ago, I'm talking 25 years ago. Yeah. With Manu and they're all little kids back then. He said, I'm ashamed. He slapped his own face until it swelled up. By this mouth, I blasphemed you, my Lord. But Mahaprabhu stopped him, he embraced him, and he said, because you're connected to my dear devotee Sarvabhauma, you are dear to me. So this is another secret. We become connected to someone who's dear to Krishna. That's our ticket. Not on our own strength. When we offer obeisance to the deities, we chant the name, not of the deity. We chant the name of our Guru, because we're connected to him. And we're connected to Prabhupada. So we said, now Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale. You're dear to Krishna. Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale. Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tanamana. You say it in front of the deity. Why do you say it in front of the deity? My Lord, please accept me because I'm connected to him. Not because of me. I'm just another Amoga rascal. So Mahaprabhu told him, because you're connected to Sarvabhauma, I'm going to take you. That's our secret. It's not hard. Stay connected. So thus the Lord transformed a blasphemer into a chanter. Okay. Now the season changed. The Lord was there during Chaturmas and the season changed. Chaturmas, you don't go anywhere, it's raining. But as soon as rain stopped, he said, okay, time to go. I must go now to where? Start my journey to? That's right. Srivrindavan. Yeah. South he already covered. Last week. We did the whole southern tour. Yes. No, she's from South, so she's eager to see South. Yeah, yes. No, last week we did dosa, idli, everything. Yes. Now he's going north. So eager, you can see there's still water is still there, right? In the flood, the grooves, there's still puddles. As soon as Chaturmas finished, time to go. So King Prataparudra made elaborate arrangements. He actually sent people forward and created like residences on the way. So Mahaprabhu can take rest. And he stopped food and guards every spot, and even boats to carry the load across the rivers, everything first class. And he came, and the Lord embraced him again. And from then on, he is known as Pratapruddra Shantrata, the deliverer. The Mahaprabhu was known as the deliverer of Pratapruddra. So on the way, Gadadhar Pandit wanted to come with him. And Mahaprabhu said, no, you cannot break your vow of Kshetra Sannyas. Kshetra Sannyas means he has to stay in one place. It's a different kind of sannyas. That's Gadadhar Pandit. Gadadhar Pandit is who? That's right. So you stay with him. So she was like, he was feeling like, okay, no, I should come. But she said, no, you stay. You remain in Puri, that'll satisfy me. But of course, Gadadhar Pandit passed out in separation and is pacified by Sarabham Bhattacharya. So then, as Lord's journey pressed on forward, even hardened Muslim governors and their officers melted into tears. He would touch them and give them, they would chant, Krishna, Krishna. And they would chant, Krishna, Krishna. And whole villages became surcharged with Krishna Kirtan simply by seeing the Lord. So he went to Vrindavan via Bengal. So first he went through Bengal, right? And he visited the home of Raghava Pandit, he visited the home of Srivas, he visited the home of Advaita Acharya, and he also met Rup Sanatan and Raghunath Das. These are his future stalwart disciples. And then he said, okay, now let's start to Vrindavan. So he said, I'm not going with anybody, I'm going by myself. I said, no, how can you go by yourself? Out of love, they said, okay, one concession. Take one Brahman with you. At least the assistant, he'll cook for you. This Brahmana's name is Balabhadra Bhattacharya. So this Balabhadra Bhattacharya became the Lord's companion on his journey to Vrindavan. He was known for being very gentle, very learned, and his only wealth was devotion, which means he had no other wealth. He's just completely simple. And they agreed the night everybody went to sleep, and before the sun rose, before anybody rose, those two woke up and left to sleep quietly. They didn't want a farewell party. And they slept. The first stop that they started to go through, first place that they went through, very famous, is known as Jharikanda. What happened in Jharikanda? Very beautiful. What happened there can only be called the Festival of the Holy Name. Hey, we have the Festival of the Holy Name, Sadhu Sangha retreat. But there it's just all human beings. But here, tigers. So Mahaprabhu is singing. He doesn't have a whole Kirtan party with him, okay? He only has Balabhadra Bhattacharya. Do you see him in this picture? He's right there in the corner, near the elephants back there. He's like, whoa, what's going on? Tigers paused. Elephants cleared the path. And when the Lord is absorbed in Kirtan, you just see this picture. He brushed a dozing tiger with his lotus feet. He brushed him. You can imagine. He says, chant Krishna. And the tiger jumped up. And the tiger started chanting, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You can imagine. And he's raising his hands. Now the tiger was going to eat that deer earlier that morning. But now he's dancing with Hare Krishna. And the deer is also chanting Hare Krishna. And they're friends now. You see? Prior to that, he was chanting Mahaprasada Govinde. Now he's chanting. The deers, all the deer, they gather to closer to the voice, like it's the flute of Krishna, the voice of Mahaprabhu. And even the trees and the vines, they seem to dance and quiver as if, and they're dripping with honey as if the honey was their tears. Such a beautiful scene. And for Balabhadra Bhattacharya, who was there, this is equal parts awe and service. You see? And village after, so this is the miracle of Jharikanda forest. And they would go to villages. And village after village, what would he do? He would just beg a little bit of rice, a little bit of milk. And if there's a long stretch where there's no villages, What would they do? They just gathered some edible greens and leaves and roots and just cook it simply and offered them. Can you imagine? The Lord was happiest eating those forest vegetables, staying hidden. Is this fact even ate mushrooms? In this fast, yes. So, but not onions and garlic. Just the mushroom. He didn't go for the wild onions. But yes, and the public ecstasies, he wanted to avoid public ecstasies for now, and it was very much relishable to him. Then traveling this way, he reached this very important city of Varanasi. Varanasi today is known as Kashi or Banaras. Yes, very famous for saris, and it's very famous for the ghats, burning ghats, and Kashi, Yeah, Kashi Vishwanath temple. And he bathed at this place called Manikarnika. And then he was recognized by his great devotees. Oh, this is Mahaprabhu. Great devotees by the name of Tapan Mishra and Chandrasekhar, two devotees who reside in Varanasi. Great devotees. And they begged him to remain. They begged him that, just stay with us. What's the point of hanging out with these dry Mayavadis? Because the Varanasi is the seat of Mayavadis. It's no point. We'll protect you from these rascal impersonalists. So then he accepted staying with them. Then he moved on. He went to Prayag. At Prayag, he bathed at the confluence. Prayag is the confluence of which rivers? Ganga, Yamuna, and Saraswati. So the confluence, he bathed. And then he saw when the Yamuna is here, so he flung himself into the Yamuna. The Yamuna, closer to Krishna, getting closer to Vrindavan. And he was stunned when the water of Yamuna hit him. Then he carried on and he got closer to Mathura. And when he saw the city of Mathura, he became flat. He offered prayer. Why is Mathura important? Who was born there? Krishna was born there. Right? Vaikuntha Janito Vara Madhupuri. Madhupuri is Mathura. The greater than Vaikuntha is Mathura because the Lord was born there. And when he fell flat, the city answered back with a roar. It says, Hari, Hari! Hari, Hari! I could hear Hari, Hari coming from the city. And then so he went and he danced in the Keshavji temple, and his dances lit the crowd. And one elderly Brahmana joined him and was crying. And later, in a secluded place, the Brahmana, he was talking to Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu asked him, from where, my dear Brahmana, did you get this amazing wealth of devotion? And he says, from my Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Sri Madhavendra Puri. Oh, he said, Madhavendra Puri accepted me as his disciple. So Madhavendra Puri is who of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Grand Guru, Param Guru, Grand Spiritual Master. And so when he heard this, then the Lord immediately offered obeisances to old Brahmana. So you are my master. And he insisted on honoring the Brahmana and says, yes, I will take lunch at your place. If you're inviting me, I will take. So by his own example, he showed humility and the proper Vaishnava behavior. It's very beautiful. Then from Mathura, the Lord entered the 12 forests of Vrindavan, Madhuvan, Dalavan, Kumudvan, Bahulavan, all these. And everywhere he walked, his love swelled, and he saw the cows that surrounded him, the deer surrounded him, the peacocks, and they'll be chanting, and 2 parrots came on his hand. It's so beautiful. Vaikuntha Janito Vara Madhupuri Tatrapi Rasotsavad Vrindaranya Mudara Paniramana. So more great than Mathura is 12 forests of Vrindavan. But what is more Then, but what is more great than Vrindavan? That's right. That's right. So then the Lord approaches deeper into Braj. And he,
Don't look like this.
yes, this is Govardhan. This is Govardhan. He embraces Govardhan. He sees a stone and his heart, and he embraces his Govardhan. He falls like a golden stick and he becomes divinely mad. And then what is greater than Govardhan? Radha Kundamiha Vigo Pudapate Premamrita Plavana Kuryadasya Virajato Giritate Seva Viveki Naka. This is from which book? Nectar of Instruction. That's right. Higher than that is Radha Kund. There's nothing higher, by the way, than Radha Kund. That's it. So then the Lord, he actually sees Radha Kund. It's just two overgrown paddy fields. And this is Radha Kund. He recognizes. And he takes the sacred clay of Radha Kund and owns his body with it. Can you imagine? And assisted by Balabhadra Bhattacharya, he carried some of the clay with him back. You can see these are not minor events. These are pivotal events for us, Hare Krishna devotees. Understand? We need to know what is important, what is not important. When we see in these pastimes what moved Mahaprabhu more than other things, we know what should move us more than other things. That's why we're rushing through this. This is so much material we're covering. We're moving through it quickly because whole Madhya Lila, actually to read every verse will take many weeks. We're just putting in 1.5 hours. But the idea to highlight what is important to him, so we know what should be important to us. So then he offers his obeisances to the deities, Haridev temple in Govardhan. Jai Shri Gauranga ki Jai. So he's dancing and crying with the devotees in Vrindavan. And then he goes to Akrura Ghat. Akrura Ghat is where Akrura had a vision of Vaikuntha, remember? When Krishna and Balaram were bathing. And then the Lord, he plunged into the water and did not come on the surface. The devotees with him, one of them is Krishna Das. He's crying out, where's the Lord? He's not come out from the water. And Balabhadra, pull up the Lord from the water. Balabhadra Bhattacharya. And Balabhadra, he conferred, there's a nice Brahmana who joined them. There's a Shanodiya Brahmana. And he told the Brahmana, these crowds, the ecstasies, this is not safe for the Lord. He's getting out of hand now. He almost drowned here. Let's guide the Lord to Prayag again, along the Ganges, and we'll reach Magh Mela. Magh Mela is where it happens in the Prayag. It's a Mela, we're gathering. So it's a little safer over there. So then they crossed by boat towards Mahavan. Now, Mahavan is still one of the forests, right? Yeah, and so on the riverbank, the cows are grazing, and some cowherd boy, the regular cowherd boy, that he blew on his flute. That was the end of that. Can you imagine, right? Mahaprabhu just recovering from this. Now a cowherd boy who's blowing on his flute, the sound pierced the Lord and the Lord became unconscious again. There is no big problem with the Lord now. And he became unconscious, and it was so intense for the unconsciousness, the foam gathered. Some people, when you especially get poisoned, the foam gathers. So Lord, either you can see when it's poisoned or when one has reached very high ecstasies, then foam gathers in the mouth. Like this. Now, suddenly these 10 guys coming. These are Pathans. Pathans are from Afghanistan. Of course, they're kind of Muslim. There's Muslim rule happening, so Pathans are really, right? And so they're kind of in charge over there. And they came down from the horses, the cavalry, the actual soldiers. They're saying, something is wrong here. This gentleman, I think these people murdered him, poisoned him. And he said, these rogues, they poisoned this poor sannyasi and stolen his gold. I bet that's what they did. They stole his gold. And they started arresting the people over there. You can imagine like a scene out of a movie, And then, so this Krishnadas is a Rajput who was there, the devotee. And he said firmly, he said, wait till he revives. He's not dead. He's going to wake up just now. So the Lord woke up and he flung his arms up just after waking up and he said, Hari, Hari! He doesn't care what else is going on. He doesn't see these Pathans have arrested my friends. He's just chanting Hari, Hari. So then the soldiers, their hearts thundered and their fear melted into reverence. Oh, this is a special person. They bowed. And the other people he had called rogues, he said, sorry. We shouldn't have called you rogues. And so the Lord, he said, no, these people, they're not rogues, they maintain me. I am the beggar. I don't have any gold anyway. What are they going to steal from me? They're the ones who are keeping me alive. And so among the soldiers, there's one sober soldier who was wearing black, is Pathan. He's considered a saintly Pathan, So he said, okay, let's discuss some religion then. Your religion is... and he tried to promote impersonalism through Quran, naturally. Then the Lord spoke the guy's language. Means he started speaking from the Quran. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started quoting from the Quran. But using the Quran, he came up and convinced these people that God is one. He's all opulent. He's a blackish person. From the Quran. He managed to convince by quoting the verses. And he's a blissful, absolute person in the transcendental body and all this creation and dissolution, all that happens. And there's nothing more joyful than serving him. From the Quran, he said all this. And this saintly Pathan, he was just shaking, he was moved. And he surrendered to the Lord. And he took initiation from the Lord. Can you imagine? And the Lord gave him the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. And the Lord gave him the name Ramdas. So this young commander, Vijuli Khan, he fell at his feet. And so all these Pathans became the Vaishnava Pathans, first Vaishnava Pathan groups. And later on, they became famous as Pathan Vaishnavas, and they carried on the Lord's glories across the land. There's a whole group of preachers called Pathan Vaishnavas. It's amazing. Yeah. I'm not sure, they may still be, but they became famous for doing that. Yes. So then, now you remember, in Ram Kelly early on, Lord Chaitanya had met Rupa and Sanatan, but they're still working for the government. And they longed to renounce the government service and so on and give their lives to Krishna. So now what had happened was that Rupa Goswami, they made a lot of money, by the way. They worked for the government, made tons of money, a boatload of gold. Like a boat filled with gold. You know how much that's worth today? Like probably $1 billion. One coin is like, 3,000 something. And a boatload. So what they did was Rupa Goswami carefully divided his wealth. Half of it he donated to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, basically for donation. And then a quarter for his family members. He gave, okay, family, you guys. Right? And then the other he kept hidden for emergencies in case, right? So then Sanatan, he was tired of working for the government. I can't work for you anymore. So he started getting sick leave. You know how we have sick leave? Some companies have unlimited sick leave. So he started using unlimited sick leave. Then the king, the Muslim governor was like, 1 day, 2 days, 1 week, so many days are gone. What's going on? No, he's sick. What do you mean he's sick? He went there and saw he's not sick. He's sitting in his house, having a whole bunch of people there, he's reading Bhagavatam. What kind of sickness is this? So then Nawab, he said, this is not right. You're abusing the system. Unlimited sick leave. He arrested him, put him in jail. I mean, they don't do that here. If you misuse sick leave, you just get fired. Over there, you get arrested, So Sanatan is in jail. Rupa Goswami is like, oh, this is not good. He escaped. Before he went with his younger brother Anupama and he went to meet the Lord in Prayag. So that's Rupa Goswami. And in Prayag. So you can imagine the Lord is just coming back from his ecstasies. They hang out in Prayag. And
Hmm.
so
Hmm.
in Prayag, the temple known as Bindu Madhav temple. And the Lord danced there, tens of thousands of devotees chanting. Now, in a secluded place like this, the two brothers, who? Rup and Anupam. Sanatan is still in jail. Sanatan is still in jail. So Rupa and Anupam, yeah. So they met him, they offered themselves like beggars. And the Lord lifted them both up, embraced them. And he declared, Krishna's mercy has delivered you from this well of material life. And the brothers said, you are Krishna himself. Please accept us in your shelter. So they said, we are afraid for our brother Sanatan. So then Mahaprabhu said, no, don't worry. Sanatan will soon be freed and he'll come to meet me also. So then for 10 days, Mahaprabhu spoke with Rupa Goswami. And he planted the seed of what Rupa Goswami later will write. It will become a big volume known as Nectar of Devotion. So all the stuff, all the material that's in Nectar of Devotion came from this conversation, this 10 days of Mahaprabhu's conversation in Prayag. What is that about? One of the most important verses he spoke. Brahmanda Brahmite kono bhagyavan jiva Guru Krishna prasade pai Bhakti Lata Beach. This Bhakti Lata Beach, this seed of devotion, it is the systems, the techniques, the methods we use to chant and all the devotional things we do. That's the seed. And you get it, only some Bhagyavan, some fortunate soul, rare soul gets it. So he explained that whole concept and how you water it with hearing, chanting. Then he talks about the 5 rasas. He talks about Shravana and Kirtana. What are the 5 rasas? Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. He talks about them. And he gives the example of start with sugarcane, then sugarcane juice, then boils become like molasses and make it further boiled, become like raw candy like that. So it's the same sweetness, it just gets more intense. So when all these instructions ended, then Mahaprabhu embraced Rupa Goswami and sent him to Vrindavan. Sanatan Goswami, the next chapter, we see him in prison under Nawab Hussain Shah. And there, by some method of bribing the keepers and all that, he managed to escape and he meets the Lord in, not Prayag, he meets him in Varanasi. So eventually, Sanatan Goswami, after escaping the whole fun adventure, he escapes and then they are hiding in the inn. There's a lot of deep stories, but he managed to reach Varanasi. And when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sees him, the Lord runs to embrace him. Sanatan he says, no, don't embrace me. Why? I'm unworthy. I'm basically become Muslim. You can't be touching me. You're a Brahman. No. Mahaprabhu, see, he doesn't want to be embraced. And Mahaprabhu embraces him. And Mahaprabhu tells me, you know what? I am touching you to purify myself. When I touch you, my sins will be washed away. Amazing. A devotee like you can purify the entire universe. So this reveals the Lord's heart. He doesn't see the external conditions, but the internal sincerity. So we need to come up to the mark. Yeah. Then Sanatan Goswami, he asked a lot of questions, simple questions, very profound. My Lord, who am I? I thought I'm supposed to be this big government officer. Why am I suffering? What is my real duty? What is the real duty of a human being? These are universal questions. Who am I? Why am I suffering? And what am I supposed to do? 3 things. Who am I? Why am I suffering? What am I supposed to do? And then the Lord gives him the essence. Tivera Swarupa hoy Krishnera Nityadas. So he talks about Sambandha, Avideya Prayojan, that our relationship with Krishna, the method, the process of reviving the relationship, and the goal, the fruit, which is love. So relationship is the eternal servant. The process is Krishna consciousness, bhakti yoga, chanting and so on. And the fruit is, the goal is prayer. Simple, simple. But of course, a lot of elaboration on that. And so he gives a full philosophical basis. And then he explains how the Lord's pastimes are eternally rotating in the universe. Like this, there is Rasa Lila happening here. And then after he winds it up here, some other place in the universe, some Rasa Lila again is happening. So he keeps doing everywhere, somewhere in the universe, Lila is going on. This concept was spoken here, you see. Another important message he spoke about was the importance of humility. And he gave the example of this story of Brahma. And once Brahma came to Dwarka to meet Lord Krishna at the gate, and the gatekeeper said, who are you? What do you mean, who are you? You can't see my forehead. I'm Brahma. I don't know. I came to see the Lord. Go tell him Brahma is here. The gatekeeper said, okay, well, I don't know you, but I'll tell him anyway. So he goes inside. And then Krishna said, ask him which Brahma. So the guard comes and says, hey, Krishna asks, which Brahma are you? What do you mean, which Brahma? Like as if there are many Brahmas. There must be apparently, because he's asking which one. Four-headed Brahma, which are four-headed. Okay, I'll tell him. And then so the Krishna smiled. And so then, right then, Krishna summoned all the Brahmas from all the universes. Some had 1 head, some had 10 heads, some had 1,000,000 heads. And he summoned all of them. He said, all of them are hanging out over there. And then he said, call the other Brahma. And the Brahma came, oh, wow. I thought I was like the big shot over here. You know, the Pt.4 processor, the 4 heads. They have like these big servers over here. Entire cloud computing going on. You know, so many heads. And when the Brahmas are bowing down, the helmets touch the floor with thunder, because some 1,000,000 heads, helmets touching the floor, you can imagine the clang. Shook that Brahma to his core. So through this Lila, Mahaprabhu showed Sanatana Goswami, even the creator of the universe, the engineer, is just an ant before Krishna. And pride melts when faced with the infinite. So we cannot come to the door of the Lord with our pride and our foreheads. We cannot. And our big head. We are not eligible to knock on the door until we come with some humility. Then we can pray. Very sweet. Then Mahaprabhu turns from the grandeur of Krishna to his sweetness. Yes, of course, Krishna rules all the universes and all the Brahmas. That's the pinnacle of his opulence. But what is the ultimate height of his opulence? Is the simplicity of Vrindavan, the sweet love. There he stands like a youthful cowherd boy, threefold bending form, laying his flute and peacock feathers, and a smile that conquers everybody's hearts. So as Mahaprabhu keeps speaking of the sweetness, his own ecstasy surges. And he remembers Krishna, his Aradhya Bhagavan Vajeshtanaya, only Vajeshtanaya is worthy to be worshipped. And he waves his arms and his voice, he breaks and admits to Sanatan, I wish to explain philosophy, but now I'm just completely washed away by Krishna's tsunami of sweetness in Vrindavan. By his mercy, by Krishna's mercy, you are hearing all of this through my madness. I'm just mad. And then he concludes that anyone, this is how it ends. The chapter ends. Anyone who hears of this sweetness of the Lord becomes eligible to swim in the ocean of love of Godhead. So what is our eligibility? To hear. We have to hear. Take the opportunity to come and hear. Those are fortunate, come and hear. Hear. In front of the Lord. So some summary points of the philosophy that he covered in this section. I thought it's very important. Eternal nature of the soul, Jiva Swarupa Nitya Krishna Das. Superiority of bhakti over all the other processes. These are the key points of philosophy that are foundational to our Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta. These ones. Mercy of the devotees, very important. The gradual growth of devotion, very gradually, we'll develop this devotion. and the characteristics of devotees. He described the 26 qualities of devotees. So taking all these essential topics, right? Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, they compile the books and write them down. So we have many books, the granthas. Then he talks about, Krishna says, Saradhanam Pariteja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. So, okay, what does that mean? Mahaprabhu gives the elaboration. What does Sharanam mean? 6 things. 6 things of Sharanagati. Accept what is favorable, reject what is unfavorable, right? Conviction that Krishna will protect us. Avashya Rakhibe Krishna, Vishwasapada. Accepting as maintainer, Gopite Varanam. Then Atma Nivedana, fully surrendered, that my Lord, I'm yours. And Dainya, humble. 6 things. We can use this as a checklist for our growth, for these 6 things. Are we surrendered? Only we can answer that, and the Lord can answer that. We know how much we're surrendered. We know what we're still attached to. The good thing is that this philosophy is so clear, at least there's no ambiguity in what to do, what not to do. Now to do it is the hard part. But there's no ambiguity in terms of instructions. The roadmap is very clear. So those are and then the key items of bhakti. Now, he mentions 64 items of devotional service. 64. And they're all listed in Nectar of Devotion. But out of these 64, the top 5 are very, very, very important. At least these top 5 we should know. What are these top 5 items? Associating with devotees, right? Satsang, devotee sangha. Chanting the holy name. 3rd, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. 4th, Mathura Vas, living in Mathura, Vrindavan, or sacred place. And 5, worshipping the deity. These 5 things are the topmost out of the 64. See? And then finally, Mahaprabhu describes Ragatmika Bhakti, spontaneous devotional service. This is higher than Vaidhi Bhakti. And at the end, Mahaprabhu blesses Sanatana Goswami by placing his hands on his head. So beautiful. Empowering him to describe these truths in books like Hari Bhakti Vilas, written by Sanatana Goswami. Another book that you remember written by Sanatana Goswami? Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Big one. Sanatana Goswami. He wrote many books. And so he becomes a fountain of bhakti literature, Sanatana Goswami. So the lesson here is that love of God is not gained by scholarship or position, but by humility and mercy of the Lord. See? So this is chapter 23. It shows the destination of bhakti. And in Madhya Lila, how many chapters are there? 25. We're almost at the end, okay? I'm kind of moving right through them. So 23, 24, that was 23, 24. Now chapter 25 brings us to powerful turning point in Caitanya Caritamrita. Varanasi is the stronghold of the Mayavadi sannyasis, and they criticize Mahaprabhu for being a sentimentalist. But by the Lord's mercy, even this city of Mayavadi drive philosophy became transformed into a center of ecstatic love. So there's a Maharashtrian Brahmin living in Varanasi. Okay? And he was very pained to hear these people blaspheming Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They're saying, oh, he's a sentimentalist. What do you mean sentimentalist? He is Lord himself. He says, if only these sannyasis could see the Lord directly, they would recognize that he is divine. So then, with this determination, he invited sannyasis to his home. He invited his Maharashtrian Brahmin, and he invited Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This is a famous meeting. It's already narrated in Adi Lila. We'll just cover it briefly here. This is where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was sitting humbly, where people wash their feet. You see that little chokadi? That's where they wash their feet. He sat there, because I'm not great sannyasi like these other ones. Why? Because my sannyas guru, he's not as high ranked as their sannyas gurus. I'm just... But he was radiating such effulgence. You can see his effulgence. In this picture, you can see his effulgence is lighting up everybody else. Amazing. That Prakash Anand Saraswati, who was the head of this proud sannyasis, even his heart was softened and he offered obeisances. So at this gathering, Mahaprabhu did something very important. He did something very important. The Vedanta Sutra is considered the essence of all philosophy. Vedanta Sutra. And all these Mayavadi sannyasis, they kind of follow the commentary of who? Shankaracharya, Shankara Bhashya. Right? But Mahaprabhu said, yes, Vedanta is the basis of all truth. But Vedanta is written by who? Who wrote Vedanta? Vyasadeva. Ved Vyas. He wrote it. So, to understand Vedanta, you got to not go to somebody else's commentary. Just take Vyasadeva's personal commentary. Now, what is his commentary? Mahaprabhu said the Bhagavatam is a natural commentary on Vedanta. Vyasadeva himself wrote a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. You see, commentary is required when the sutra is like a code. To decode it, you need the password. Password has to be written by the same person who wrote the code. You can't invent your own password and pretend you know what it means. So the unlocking of that mystery of Vedanta has to be done by the person who wrote Vedanta. So where the Vedanta ends, the last few verses of Vedanta says Janmadhyasya yata. And what is the opening verse of Srimad Bhagavatam? Janmadhyasya yata taschateshu vigyasvarat. It connects. This is the key. The key goes in here and it opens the lock. And it opens the hole. Now, Bhagavatam is a commentary on Vedanta Sutra. So then he expands on the Chaturshloki of Bhagavatam. He explains creation. He explains maintenance, dissolution, and the eternal position of the Lord. And he shows that the purpose of all Shastra is not speculation, it is devotion. So from that day on, of course, Bhagavatam is not just book, it's a commentary. It's the very heart of Vedanta, revealed by the Lord. So from that day on, the mood of the entire city shifted. Crowds would come every day to see Mahaprabhu. And he would answer questions with a great deal of humility, not pride. Scholars gave up their dry pride and began chanting Hare Krishna. Prakash Anand Saraswati Thakur and all his disciples, they began glorifying the Lord. One of his disciples even said, Shankaracharya's interpretations are imaginary, but Caitanya Mahaprabhu's words are direct, they're true, and they're satisfying to the soul. Here, Prakash Anand Saraswati admitted that Mahaprabhu's explanations were nectar, far beyond his own understanding. So the entire city began to do kirtan every night. And so the takeaway is that the Lord's presence, Varanasi, was transformed from a desert of dry speculation to a garden of kirtan. So if Varanasi can be transformed, our own hearts, our own homes, our own workplaces also, our neighborhoods, even our stubborn minds can be transformed. Should we go and back? And that's how all of Varanasi became devotees, and that's the end of Madhya Lila. Chaitanya Caritamrita ki. We're not done. It's quiz time. Let's see if you paid any attention. All right? Just a few questions. We have 3 minutes. Okay. 6 questions, 3 minutes. Why did Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu initially refuse to meet King Prataprudra? 1. A. The king had offended devotees. B. Mahaprabhu was sannyasi and needed to protect the strict renunciate etiquette. C. The king had not given up enough charity to the temple. Not enough donation.
B.
D. Meeting with rulers was banned during Rath Yatra.
B.
Who is that? Okay, I think even on the Zoom, everyone is saying B. Okay, let's see if that's correct. I thought it's because I didn't give donation. Okay. B. Mahaprabhu was sannyasi and needed to protect strict renunciate etiquette. Jai. It's not always going to be B, okay? Question number 2. What was the key lesson of the second pass of the Gundicha cleansing? We have to decorate before cleaning, focus on the throne only, remove subtle dust after the big straw is gone, outsource the work to professionals. Which one?
Remove.
D, professional.
C.
C, remove the subtle dust after the big straw is gone. Okay, so a lot of devotees saying C. Let's see. That's correct. The idea of the second scrubbing is that the subtle things are hard to remove. Those stains, they don't go easily. So here, people put the gum, and you have to really, the gum doesn't come out. You don't sweep over the gum and let it be. Take out the gum. The subtle things are harder to take out. Okay, next question. During Rath Yatra, how did the devotees experience Mahaprabhu's presence among the 7 Kirtan parties? A, he stayed with the front group only. B, he rotated on a fixed schedule. C, he was seen simultaneously with each party. And D, he walked apart in silent meditation. Let's see what they're saying here. Online, there's C, okay. Vamshi Prabhu is saying C, Kalpana Madhya is saying C. Good job. Let's see if they're correct. He was seen simultaneously with each party. Hari bol. Okay, this one we didn't really cover in the class, but maybe if you know, you know, okay? This is something that I put in there, but we didn't really cover it. Who collapsed during the cleansing and was revived by Mahaprabhu's touch? Okay, so this I didn't say the story, so it's my fault. We're kind of rushing through, but see if you know it. A, Gopāla, son of Advaita Acharya. B, Prince, the son of King Pt.4. C, Kashishwar Pandit. And D, Harichandan. This is hard. Okay, D, anybody else? A, okay, I hear A. Maybe it's a good, anyone? Okay, actually you're correct, It's A, Gopal son of Acharya. Good job, good job. Isn't this a wild guess anyway? All right, good guess. Question, which of the following is not listed among the 5 most powerful limbs of bhakti? This one we just covered. Okay, what are the 5 limbs, right? So, associating devotees, chanting holy name, observing Ekadashi, and D, hearing Bhagavatam, residing Mathura, daily worship. C, which is not? Which is not? C, that's right, Ekadashi. Let's see if that's correct. Observing Ekadashi fast. Okay, that was the last one. Srila Prabhupada ki. Thank you all very much. Exactly 4 o'clock on the dot. Wow. It's time for Tulsi Tulsi Maharani ki. Jai, Hare Krishna. Thank you all the devotees online for joining. We managed to finish entire Madhya Lila now. And next time, which is 2 weeks from now, not next Sunday. We'll skip one Sunday. So 2 weeks from now, we'll start with Antya Lila. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
We'll see you next time. Hari Bol, 2 weeks from now, okay?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
One minute.